Hey everyone, if you're new here, my name is Lottie, and if you're a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. And welcome back to Bookmas. I'm uploading 12 videos in the month of December for Bookmas, so if you've missed any of them, I'll link my playlist in the description down below so you can get all caught up. But today's video is going to be a really fun one. I wanted to do a winter TBR video. A lot of times when I'm watching TBR videos, I'm trying to get inspiration for what books I may want to pick up throughout the season. So I thought it'd be fun today to do a Kindle Unlimited winter TBR. Now keep in mind, these aren't all of the books on my winter TBR. These are just the ones specifically that are available through Kindle Unlimited. I thought it'd be fun to do a dedicated KU video because I know a lot of you have a subscription to Kindle Unlimited, so I wanted to make a list of all of the books on Kindle Unlimited that I'm dying to read right now, and hopefully you can get some inspiration for ones that you may want to add to your KU library. I recently just did a video all about Kindle Unlimited, so if you are new to the concept of Kindle Unlimited and just want to kind of learn the basics, I have that video available to go watch to get caught up. But I just think Kindle Unlimited is such a great resource, but I also want to make the most of my subscription. So I think going through their inventory and kind of seeing what I am most interested in is super helpful for me because that way I'm able to make sure I'm working in my KU reads throughout the month too. I have over 20 books on this list, so get cozy. I'm going to timestamp it out. I'm going to have my winter TBR for the first part of this video, and then for the back half of this video, I'm going to go through a few of my Christmas picks. So if you're specifically looking for holiday books, I will leave that at the end. All right, so starting with just my generic winter TBR, the first book is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I think I spoke about this one in my fall TBR as well, but just haven't had a chance to get to it yet. So definitely want to read it in the next few months. This book is about Addie LaRue, a young woman in 1714 France who makes a desperate deal to live forever, but with a twist. Though she can live forever, everyone that she meets forgets her. The point of this book is just that over many centuries, Addie carves out a remarkable but very hidden life until one day everything changes and someone remembers her. I've heard kind of mixed reviews on this book, so I'm interested to give it a read and see what I think. I think it would be perfect for the winter because it kind of has that historical fiction vibe, as well as a little bit of fantasy and magical realism, which are all kind of themes and genres that I love to pick up during the colder months. Plus, this one is just such a popular book. I'm dying to know what I think about it. And it's really cool that it's on KU right now because it's such a popular title. My next KU pick for winter is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This is like a YA series that has really blown up lately. There are currently 3 books in the series, and the third one was recently released, which I think is why it's really grown in popularity lately. And this one's actually on my December TBR, so I'm really itching to get to this one this month. But this book basically follows Signa, our main character, who's 19 and she's an orphan. She's had a pretty rough go of it. Her guardians all keep dying mysteriously. So she's had like 5 different guardians all in her life since she was orphaned as a young girl. And now she's stuck with a family called the Hawthorns who live at this like gloomy, dreary estate called Thorn Grove. I think where the story starts to pick up is when the ghost of Signa's mother appears to her and tells her that she was poisoned. So Signa decides to team up with one of the stable boys at the estate she's living at, as well as literally Death himself. I actually read the prologue in the first chapter, and Death is like an actual character kind of in this book, but he's kind of this like ghost that only Signa can really see. So I think she's also going to team up with Death to figure out what happened to her mother. I think Death being a character in a book makes a lot of sense for it to be on the winter TBR. I feel like, you know, everything is dead in winter, and so to me something in my mind just like kind of connects those kinds of stories with the season. But overall, this just seems like a really interesting read, and I'm excited to hopefully get to this one soon. Okay, book number 3 on my Kindle Unlimited winter TBR is Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. I feel like this one kind of falls in that like weird girl lit category a little bit, but it's also like a mystery thriller. It's basically a fictionalized account of the true story of Ted Bundy and the women that he murdered. I actually never watched the Ted Bundy like documentary. It basically follows 2 young women in, I think, 1978. Pamela, who's the president of her sorority, and after surviving a brutal attack on her sorority house, Pamela teams up with Tina, and Tina believes that the same killer is behind the disappearance of her friend. So I think Pamela and Tina team up to try to figure this out. It seems fast-paced, thrilling, a bit shocking. I don't really know much about the Ted Bundy story, so I also feel like I may be like surprised at some things because I don't know that much going in. And I've had a few friends read this one and enjoy it, so I've got this one on my list too. The next book Kindle Unlimited has that I'm dying to read is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This book is part of a larger trilogy that is kind of a prequel to the Six of Crows duology. And I've heard amazing things about Six of Crows, which makes me want to do my homework, go back and read Shadow and Bone first. I think Shadow and Bone follows a young woman soldier named Alina who discovers she has like a rare magical power while she's on a mission through something called the Shadow Fold, which is like a creepy monster-filled wasteland. This one is definitely very fantastical, but anyway, I think once she discovers her magical power, she's like whisked into this world called Grisha, and I think these books and like a lot of Leigh Bardugo's books are in the Grisha verse, I'm pretty sure. But I think Alina gets pulled into Grisha, where she starts training and learning how to use her magic under this mysterious darkling. And of course, they think that her power can like save the country. But per usual with these fantasy books, I think Alina starts to discover some things where people may not be telling her the full story, and she's trying to figure out for herself like what's good, what's bad, how she should be using her powers and things like that. So this one is high on my list because I definitely want to get to Six of Crows as well. I know you don't have to read Shadow and Bone, but I figure I'd want to read it eventually, so I might as well read it first, and then it'll be like a reward once I can get to Six of Crows as well. So okay, another one that I have on my KU TBR is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is another young adult fantasy series that's part of a larger trilogy. Again, I'm sure so many people have heard of this one. Basically, this one follows a young girl named Jude who has to live in a dangerous world with, I think, like high fae or fairies after her parents were murdered. Now, 10 years later, after her parents were murdered, she's determined to prove herself, and she just really wants to prove that she belongs, even though humans are absolutely despised in this world, especially by Prince Carden, who's the cruel and arrogant son of the High King. Thus why it's called The Cruel Prince, I think. So that's the general plot of this one, but like I said, it's a trilogy. The thing about all these fantasy series though is like I feel like I need to finish series I'm in the middle of before starting new ones. So I'm always like at a crossroads of like, do I keep reading this one or do I start this new one? So lots of different options to choose from in this video in terms of lots of series, but let me know if you have any favorites of the ones I'm mentioning today, because I gotta figure out how to prioritize all these different series I want to start. Speaking of another series, the next book on my KU TBR is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I actually have this one on my physical TBR too, so it's another one that's high up on my list. I think this first book in the series is about Cassie, who is a 17-year-old young woman who has a special talent for kind of reading people and uncovering their secrets. So when the FBI recruits Cassie for a special program that uses gifted teens to help them solve cold cases, she joins a group of peers with equally complicated and unique skills. So I think all of the books in the Natural series maybe follow a different teen that's part of the program, and I absolutely loved the Inheritance Game series from Jennifer Lynn Barnes, so I have high hopes. I feel like I'm definitely gonna like this. Okay, next book on my KU Winter TBR is called Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I've seen this book everywhere this fall, and it's definitely been getting a lot of mixed reviews, so again, another one that I want to like be able to weigh in on. It's a new release, and it's the first one in a new series called like the Wicked Games series. I'm pretty sure this one is about a young girl named Ophelia who enters a deadly competition called Phantasma in order to save her sister. To win Phantasma, Ophelia has to win 9 dangerous challenges and outwit all of her competitors, all while resisting the temptations of someone named Blackwell, who offers to help Ophelia but at a price. I've heard people compare this one to Caraval, which I read in November, and I liked that one, but I didn't love it, so I'm curious to see if I would like this concept better in a different way, because I think the concept is really cool, but I also think how you bring the story to life and the kinds of characters you use to tell it can of course make all the difference. So I'm super curious about this one, and I feel like it's just been everywhere, and I just love when a new release is available on Kindle Unlimited. Okay, another book I want to read through Kindle Unlimited in the winter is called Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. This is the first in another fantasy series. It's the first in something called the Kindred's Curse saga, and it follows a woman named DM who is a healer, and I think she's stuck in a pretty harsh world that's ruled by these magical descendants of the gods. I think the story kind of kicks off with DM's mother vanishing and her not really knowing what happened to her, where she went, and from there I think she's just kind of pulled into a dangerous world of a brewing rebellion and potential civil war, and I think there's a rebel alliance that's forming that's really vying for DM to join them, and so I think she kind of has to navigate that as well. You know I love a good romantasy in the winter, and I've been seeing this one everywhere as well and hearing such great things, so had to put this one on the TBR. Next is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. Another one I have been seeing literally everywhere, but it's so amazing that all of these are on KU. Like, love you, KU. But anyway, this one is the first book in a duology called the Shepherd's King duology, I think. This one is about Elsbeth, who lives in a dark, twisty kingdom. What's new? And she shares her mind with something called the Nightmare, which is a magical spirit that's able to protect her in some way. But you guessed it, for a price. I think pretty early in the story, she crosses paths with some highwayman who turns out to be a traitorous royal, which then of course draws her into some dangerous mission that she has to go on to save the kingdom. This one definitely has a little bit more of that gothic atmosphere, some dark magic, a high stakes quest. Just feels perfect for the winter. So next on my Kindle Unlimited TBR is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This one's by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I think I said that right. I'm pretty sure he's a Japanese author, but this just seems like a really cozy, sweet read. This book is about a small cafe in Tokyo, and it offers customers the chance to travel back in time, but only for the duration of one cup of coffee. This book takes place over the course of one summer, and I think it has like 4 short stories in it of 4 different visitors who come and travel back in time at the cafe. So I think each of the customers and time travelers go back to pivotal moments in their life and kind of grapple with love, loss, and what they would do differently if they could. This one is also pretty short. It's under 250 pages. So if you're looking to hit a reading goal by the end of the year, this could be a charming one to just kind of throw in the mix. All right, guys, you guessed it, another fantasy series. This one is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This one is about a 17-year-old Kiva who has spent the past decade in a death prison serving as its healer. But when the rebel queen is captured and sentenced to these deadly trials, Kiva actually decides to jump in. She receives a message from her family that says don't let her die. So determined to save the queen and herself, Kiva decides to step in and take her place. But I don't think anyone has ever survived these trials before. Plus, on top of all of that, I think there's like a rebellion brewing outside the prison. There's a plague spreading, which I'd say goes into the fact that Kiva's a healer. There's also a new inmate in the prison who's stirring up Kiva's heart. It seems like it has a little bit of everything. I think this one would totally hook me, and I'm dying to read it. All right, next book on my KU TBR is a standalone. Yay! This one is a mystery thriller called Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I actually don't think I've read anything from Alice Feeney yet. She has been an author I've been dying to read. I think the premise of this one is that it's about Adam and Amelia Wright, who's a married couple who've had kind of relationship problems for a while now. But when they went a weekend getaway to a remote part of Scotland, they decide to go and try to work on their relationship. The husband, Adam, is a screenwriter, but he has facial blindness, so he's never been able to recognize Amelia, I guess. But all that to say, I think in this story, Amelia has been keeping some secrets of her own, writing anniversary letters that Adam has never read until now. But I don't think this is just some random trip. I think someone is lying about how or why they got there. And I have a feeling that this anniversary getaway is not going to end the way that they planned. So if you're looking for something twisty and mysterious, I think this could be a really good one. I've heard great things. Okay, another one that I think is a standalone. This one is The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. This book is about 3 strangers who live in Dublin who all feel like they've been stuck as the side characters in their own lives. But everything seems to change when they stumble into this mysterious, vanishing bookshop that seems to hold lots of secrets. Through the magic of the bookshop and the shelves, I think these 3 strangers are gonna come to learn that their stories are just as extraordinary as many of the books that they love. This one just seems ultimate cozy. It's got a little bit of mystery, a little bit of charm and magic. This one seems right up my alley, so if you're looking for just something to cozy up with on a Sunday in the winter, I think this one sounds really good. Okay, just a few more on my winter TBR, and then we'll get to some of those Christmas ones. But the next one on my list is The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. This book is a new release as well. I think it was released maybe back in September, but this one's part of a new series called the Crucible series. I know there's at least going to be one more book. Basically, this one is about gods who are meddling in the mortals' lives, and they hold this competition every 100 years to see who will rule on Olympus. It's a deadly competition, and I think all of the gods have different like mortal champions, so it's kind of giving Hunger Games, dare I say. But if you're someone who loves Greek mythology, I think you would really like this one. I loved like the Song of Achilles and Circe, so I'm super interested in this one. I love a historical fiction kind of fantasy vibe in the winter, so I think that is perfect. And I think this story specifically follows a cursed office clerk who has to become Hades champion in the competition, which that's chef's kiss. I love that we are Hades champion, the god of the underworld, if you're unfamiliar. I think we've got Hades playing by his own rules a little bit, and it just seems like the perfect thrilling mix of like mythology, fantasy, maybe some slow burn. I'm curious if Hades champion and Hades are gonna have like a little fling or something. So I think this just seems like a really fresh, exciting one for the winter, especially since it's a new release. Okay, I also have the entire Shatter Me series on my winter TBR by Tahara Mafi. This series is so viral. I'm sure you've heard of it. But I think at least this first book follows our main character who has a deadly touch, literally. One touch from her can literally kill, making her a terrifying weapon, but also an outcast. I think our main character Juliet is locked away by this regime called the Reestablishment, and she's feeling like her power is much more a curse than a gift. So I think at least this first book is about Juliet kind of fighting back, discovering her own power, and going through that personal journey for herself. I think it's the start of a really long dramatic series full of romance, emotion, self-discovery, a story about someone who has a deadly touch, literally. That feels like a winter vibe to me. So, okay, and then the last one on my just basic winter TBR from Kindle Unlimited is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This is part of a YA series, and this book specifically follows Stevie Bell, who is a true crime enthusiast, and she's starting at a new school that is famous for its unsolved mystery. Turns out decades ago at this school, the founder's wife and daughter were kidnapped, and the only hint or clue left behind was this creepy riddle that just said truly devious. So Stevie's determined to crack the case, all while getting adjusted to her new school and her new friends and all that good stuff. I think with the mix of the cold case and the academic setting, this just seems like a really great winter atmospheric read. I've heard pretty good things about this series, so it's another one that if you love like a YA mystery thriller cozy vibe, I think you could really like this one, which I definitely do, so that's why it's on my list. Those are all the Kindle Unlimited books I picked out for my winter TBR. Really quickly, I wanted to go through a few other Christmas picks as well if you're looking for like a holiday read on KU. I did some research and these are the ones that stuck out to me. First of all is the Under the Mistletoe novella collection. It's a collection of 5 different novellas written by pretty popular romance authors. These also are free to listen to through Kindle Unlimited, so if you're looking for quick audiobooks, these could be great options too. And again, if you're looking to hit a reading goal by the end of the year, these are super quick reads meant to be kind of read or listened to in one sitting, so you could definitely crank through all 5 of these probably pretty quickly, which it's definitely not about the numbers, but also who cares? It's just like a fun thing. So the first novella in this series is called Cruel Winter with You by Allie Hazelwood. This story is about Jamie and Mark. Jamie is a pediatrician and she runs over to Mark's house to borrow a pan for some cooking and gets snowed in there. And Mark is her brother's childhood best friend, so you get the brother's best friend trope, and he's also a tech billionaire. So I don't know about this one because honestly, I'd rather he be a tech millionaire than billionaire. I'm not really loving the idea of romanticizing the billionaires, but anyway, I think she gets snowed in with him and they gotta kind of sort through their past. I think she like broke his heart when they were younger or something. Cute little love story, should be quick and fun. The next one in this novella series is called Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. The story is about Evie, who's a single mom in a new town, and Luke, who's a larger-than-life farmer in the same town. I think Luke keeps showing up to the thrift store where Evie works, determined to like take her out on a date, but Evie declares that she really wants to stay single. So the third one in this little collection is called All by My Elf by Olivia Dade. This is another snowed-in romance between 2 overworked adjunct professors. A blizzard leaves them stranded, there's a game of Never Have I Ever, and things go from there. The fourth one in this little collection is called Merriment and Mayhem by Alexandria Belfleur. This story is about Everly, who has a baking fail at the holidays, has to call 911 to put a fire out, and she has a chance meeting with a super hot firefighter named Griffin. Everly isn't looking for anything serious, she's just here for the holidays, but she keeps running into Griffin and is curious if it could turn into something more. And then the last one in this novella series is called Only Santa's in the Building by Alexis Daria. This story is also about a young woman named Evie. I'm surprised they didn't change up the names so that there wasn't one that had the same main character name in 2 of them, but I digress. Evie is a comic book illustrator who is working overtime at the holidays, and I guess she can't stop fantasizing about her hot upstairs neighbor, but then a Santa-themed Christmas party is announced, and Evie may just get what she wished for. So those are the 5 that are part of the little novella collection. I'm definitely interested in those and may try to pick them up this month or listen to them while doing some like baking or something like that. Okay, and then I have a few other full-size Christmas novels that stuck out to me. First one being The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. I think this one is set in a fictional town called Mary, Connecticut, and there's a big storm that comes through and kind of like destroys the town before Christmas. So this one follows Kat King, who's kind of like a reality TV renovation star who comes in to try to like fix up this town before Christmas. And I think she keeps crossing paths with this single dad and grumpy town manager named Noah, and he doesn't want his town turned into a spectacle. So I think they're kind of like enemies to lovers vibes, and they're trying to kind of pull off this Christmas miracle. That one sounded really cute. There's also 2 Christmas books from Catherine Walsh. The first one titled Holiday Romance, and that second one titled Snowed In. Holiday Romance is about 2 friends, Molly and Andrew, who have shared the same Christmas flight from Chicago to Dublin every year for 10 years now. This one seems like a a case of opposites attract because Molly is pretty indifferent towards Christmas while Andrew is totally obsessed with it. But when a snowstorm grounds their flight this year, Molly is determined to help Andrew get home so he can be with his mom on Christmas. So I think this is a really sweet, like, friends to lovers, opposites attract kind of road trip romance, which seems like a really fun idea. And then Snowed In is about our two main characters, Megan and Christian. Megan is totally dreading going home for the holidays because she left her fiance at the altar, and I think everyone's kind of like judging her for that. And Christian's just over being the token single guy at all the Christmas gatherings. Seems like the two meet up at a pub and decide to make each other's Christmases better by being each other's fake dates to the other's holiday parties. But like with most fake dating tropes, I think those fake feelings start to blur, so that's the kind of the premise of this one. Another super cute book that is on Kindle Unlimited that I desperately want to read is called The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan. I think this one is a little bit more of like a women's fiction or literary fiction, more so than like a romance. So if you're looking for something in that vibe, this could be a good option. This book is about a widowed single mother named Hattie who is juggling her job at this charming inn and trying to make ends meet when some of her best friends show up at the inn and check in for a book club retreat. And Hattie quickly realizes they're all carrying emotional baggage of their own. I think over the course of the week, the four friends all get to talking, uncovering different things about each other and each other's lives, and are trying to help each other all start new chapters. It just seems really heartfelt and fresh, a great story of friendship. So if you're looking for that this winter, I think this could be a good one. Another interesting one I found on Kindle Unlimited that looked pretty good for the holidays is called The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. This book follows Carmen, who is broke and jobless, and so she decides to spend Christmas with her seemingly perfect sister Sophia in Edinburgh. To keep herself busy while she's there, she takes on this job of trying to revamp this bookstore. Despite the dust and the chaos, the bookshop begins to charm Carmen, as well as an author who stumbles into her life. So I think she's trying to get the bookshop ready for the holidays, all the while navigating the family tensions, her new budding romance, and just enjoying the magic of the season. So this one seems super cute, especially again if you're like a bookish person, you like books about books. I think this could be a good one. Okay, and then the last book on my Christmas TBR from KU is called How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. This book is about a self-proclaimed Christmas grump who lives in a town that celebrates the holiday year-round. He's perfectly avoiding Christmas until his nemesis, Story Taylor, shows up at Kringletown and says that she's going to compete to be the town Kringle of the year, which basically just means like the most festive townsperson. While our MMC Cole can be very grumpy, he will not let his nemesis win this competition in his hometown. So he decides to enter the competition too. So it's a bit of a rivals to lovers dynamic. This one seems to have a lot of humor, competition, a little bit of fake dating, enemies to lovers, competitive flair, just a little bit of everything. And it definitely has some cute parallels and references to How the Grinch Stole Christmas, since it's How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. I love that too. The Grinch is one of my favorite movies. I've heard really great things about this one, and it's a new release this year as well. So definitely on my list for the holiday season. And I think this is a bit of a spicier romance as well, if you're someone who prefers that. Okay, I feel like I've been talking for forever, but those are all of the books on my winter TBR from Kindle Unlimited. I hope that you all found this video helpful and maybe it gave you some ideas of books that you want to read this season on your Kindle. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and comment down below with the #1 book that you want to read from Kindle Unlimited this winter. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss a video from me. And I think that is going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you super soon in my next one. Bye!